The Kremlin has always had a knack for displaying such utter foolishness. It's much more important for them to inflate these next bubbles of self-importance than to even preserve their valuable agents. And today, the old doll Lavrov, for some reason, exposed all the FSB agents in the Armenian church. No one was pulling Minister Lavrov by his blue tongue. No one asked him to expose the carefully assembled and constructed mechanism of church influence over Armenia. This was put in place back in the USSR and had been carefully preserved. Nevertheless, today Lavrov went ahead and slammed everyone standing up for this shapeshifter hierarchy. He revealed Moscow's deep-rooted interest in preserving these costumed agents of influence, in other words, the current church episcopate. If things had long been clear with this phallic figure Gargindu, the Catholicos of all Armenians, though, to be fair, he never really tried to hide it. The rest of the Rooster Bishop crowd remained in question. They were suspected of quietly but diligently working for the Russian Federation. And now, after Lavrov's display of serious concern, after his fist shaking and demands to stop and quiet down, there are no longer any doubts about the true aims and motives of this entire episcopate. And it must be said that Pashinyan, too, has gotten seriously fired up. And right now, he has every opportunity to pull out that rusty Moscow church nail that was hammered into Armenia's head with a Soviet hammer. There are also scandals involving textbooks. Scandals. Once again, Russia has accused CIS countries of distorting the Soviet and Russian past. False information, there's another puppet, just as nasty and ridiculous as Lavrov, the Minister of Education. But we know that Russia is not just a cannibal. She's a capricious, hysterical cannibal and full of surprises. And so, after having gnawed a neighboring country to the bone while it's still alive, Russia usually demands gratitude from that country for the work it has done. And the Minister of Education of the Russian Federation, a man of many faces, Mr. Krasnov, after reviewing the textbooks of all neighboring countries, raised an outcry that, as it turns out, there are no tender feelings or gratitude toward Russia and the Russian monster, which has spent so much effort flaying the former republics, trampling and humiliating them. Indeed, everywhere, if we look at all the textbooks, the school textbooks of all of Russia's neighbors, without exception, Russia is described as a bloodthirsty bully, a country with a serious screw loose, which, frankly, the world would be better off without. But as is well known, Russians always fly into a frenzy when their crimes are called crimes. Nothing enrages them as much as a calm, objective labeling of certain historical events, especially when it's what they call Russophobia. Although I don't see anything wrong with Russophobia, it is based on concrete facts and impeccable evidence. According to Russian whims, all the genocides, mass murders, devastations, destructions, and the most treacherous subjugations of small nations committed by Russia must be judged only with admiration and gratitude, and in no other way. Well, in general, really, one should remember that the Kremlin reacts very nervously to any mention of the barbarism and brutishness of the Russian Empire. However, the historical process of conquering any neighboring lands has consistently been perceived as just another significant uprising, and the Russian Federation actively stirs up this pervasive chaos everywhere it can possibly reach within its sphere of influence. It doesn't know how to wage war any other way. The war in Ukraine is the first war where we see, without filters, without makeup, without flattery or patriotic glossing over of events, how Russia actually wages war. And Putin, despite all the press repression, despite all the verdicts, has not managed to cover up the face of this war with the usual standard rosy, pompous makeup. Absolutely everything about this war is known. But this is exactly how bloodily and barbarically Russia has always conducted all its occupation, special military operations, exterminating the population and senselessly destroying cities. It was like this, and it was like this everywhere. It happened in Georgia, it happened in Tajikistan, in Kazakhstan, in Uzbekistan. And there they remember both this blood and these humiliations.